Who am I? This is one of humanity's oldest questions, echoing through philosophy and poetry. We gather experiences and relationships to understand our place in the world. It asks who we truly are, beyond roles and expectations. Throughout history, thinkers have offered guidance for this inner exploration. From know thyself to Eastern introspection, self-realization is a common thread. It challenges us to peel back layers and discover our authentic core. To truly know oneself is to embrace the full spectrum of our humanity. Carl Jung dedicated his life to this quest, calling it individuation. He saw it as becoming who one was always meant to be. Carl Jung was a towering figure in psychology, a pioneer whose ideas resonate deeply today. He was a close collaborator of Sigmund Freud. Jung ventured further, charting realms of the psyche unexplored by his predecessor. Jung drew inspiration from mythology, religion, anthropology, and alchemy to build his model of the human soul. He introduced concepts like introvert, extrovert, the collective unconscious, and archetypes. However, their paths diverged over disagreements about the nature of the unconscious. At the heart of Jung's work lies the concept of individuation. For Jung, individuation is the lifelong process through which a person integrates the conscious and unconscious aspects of their personality. It's about becoming the person you are truly meant to be. So what exactly did Jung mean by individuation? At its core, individuation is the natural process of becoming a psychological individual. It is the journey of developing into a single, unified and whole being, distinct from the collective. Think of it as the process of discovering and fulfilling your own unique potential. Much like an acorn is destined to become a mighty oak tree, it is about separating yourself from expectations to find out who you are in your own right. Jung believed that this drive towards wholeness is an innate instinct. The human psyche naturally strives for balance and completion. Individuation is about becoming more fully yourself so that you can relate to others in a more meaningful way. Ultimately, individuation is a lifelong journey, not a final destination. Rather, it is about the ongoing effort to integrate the various aspects of your personality into a functioning whole. Jung's concept of individuation was rooted in historical thought. Drawing from philosophy, world religions, and esoteric traditions, the journey towards a higher self appears in both Eastern and Western philosophies. Jung was fascinated by the Gnostics, early Christian mystics, who sought to awaken the divine spark within the soul. He saw parallels between their quest and the individual's search for meaning through the unconscious. Alchemy was a significant influence. Jung saw alchemists projecting a psychological process onto matter. The transformation of base metals symbolized the transformation of the human soul. The philosopher's stone represented the journey toward a whole self. Alchemy's prima materia parallels the psyche's undifferentiated state. Through transformation, raw material is refined into gold. Jung used this to describe psychological development, uniting opposites to achieve psychological wholeness. Jung's concept of individuation was driven by his clinical observations and personal experiences. He noticed a pattern. Many clients, especially in midlife, felt a deep sense of meaninglessness. They had achieved success but felt unfulfilled, lacking personal significance. Jung saw this stemmed from a disconnection from their inner nature. They needed a forward-looking purpose to give their lives meaning. Individuation became central to his analytical psychology, helping individuals discover their unique identity. Jung's break with Freud was a pivotal act of individuation, forcing him to follow his own vision. He developed individuation as a practical guide for those lost in their lives, reconnecting them with inner wisdom. Individuation begins with questioning the mask we show the world, what Jung called the persona. Our persona is the social face we wear, employee, parent, friend. It helps us fit in, but it's not our true self. Problems arise when we mistake this mask for our real identity, losing touch with who we are beneath the roles. Society rewards a strong persona, tempting us to over-identify with our job, status, or online image. This can leave us feeling empty and inauthentic, like actors lost in their roles. The first step toward wholeness is recognizing the difference between our persona and our deeper self. This realization can be unsettling, forcing us to question identities we've built for years. It takes courage to look behind the mask and acknowledge the parts of ourselves that don't fit our public image. The goal isn't to destroy the persona, but to relate to it consciously, knowing it's just one part of us. We learn to wear our social masks lightly, aware that our true identity is far more complex. Life events, a job loss, a breakup, or a midlife crisis can crack the facade and prompt deeper questions. In these moments, the journey inward truly begins. By stepping back from our persona, we make space for hidden aspects of our psyche to emerge. This is the first gate on the path to becoming whole. Looking behind the persona, we meet the shadow, the hidden side of ourselves. The shadow holds everything we repress or deny: instincts, weaknesses, desires, and prejudices. It's not evil, but it's often judged as such because it contains what we don't want to see in ourselves. Facing the shadow is tough. It means owning our darkness instead of projecting it onto others. We often blame others for faults we can't accept in ourselves, fueling personal and societal conflict. Individuation requires withdrawing these projections and admitting the darkness within. The goal isn't to eliminate the shadow, but to integrate it, reclaiming lost energy and creativity. The shadow can be a source of strength. Anger helps set boundaries. Envy points to hidden desires. Integration is gradual, requiring honest self-observation and attention to our emotional reactions and dreams. This humbling work dissolves self-righteousness and deepens compassion for ourselves and others. By embracing our imperfections, we become more tolerant of the world's flaws. This journey into our depths is the price of true self-knowledge. Only by facing our shadow can we build a foundation for wholeness. It is the essential step toward becoming grounded and authentic. Let me pause for a moment. If you're already finding this content helpful, I would appreciate your support by liking this video, subscribing to this channel, and sharing it with anyone whom you feel could benefit. Now, back to our topic. Beyond the shadow, individuation leads us to the anima or animus, the inner figure of the opposite gender. For men, the anima embodies inner femininity. For women, the animus represents inner masculinity. These archetypes aren't about stereotypes, but about integrating neglected psychological qualities. We often first encounter them through projection, falling for someone who seems to complete us. This projection can spark romance, but also disappointment when reality intrudes. The task is to withdraw the projection and recognize these qualities as part of ourselves. For men, this means embracing feeling and intuition. For women, it's about developing assertiveness and clarity. Building a conscious relationship with our inner other brings balance and psychological richness. This inner dialogue transforms how we relate to ourselves and others. A man in touch with his anima relates to women as individuals, not projections. A woman who integrates her animus engages with men from a place of inner authority. This stage is a sacred inner marriage, the union of masculine and feminine within. It opens the door to the final stage, realizing the self. At the journey's end, we encounter the self, the archetype of wholeness and the psyche's true center. The ego is our conscious I, but the self includes both conscious and unconscious, the totality of who we are. If the ego is the ship's captain, the self is the whole ocean. The self is the goal of individuation, the unified whole that emerges when all parts of the personality are balanced. It's not about ego inflation, but about the ego serving something greater within. Realizing the self is often a humbling, even spiritual experience, bringing deep meaning and connection. Symbols of the self, mandalas, circles, divine figures, appear across cultures, signaling integration and unity. When these images arise in dreams or art, it's a sign the psyche is moving toward wholeness. Living from the self doesn't end life's problems, but provides a stable inner center to face them. Actions come from authentic alignment, not ego or social pressure. This is the alchemical gold, a life of integrity, purpose, and peace. It's the fulfillment of our potential to become whole. The journey is not about perfection, but about becoming uniquely ourselves. Individuation isn't reserved for mystics. It happens in daily life. It unfolds in quiet reflection, honest conversations, and small conscious choices. The process is about living with greater awareness and authenticity, not escaping ordinary life. Ask yourself, are your choices true to your inner self or shaped by others' expectations? Even small acts, trying a new hobby, changing careers, can be steps toward individuation. Setbacks and frustrations become opportunities for self-knowledge, not just obstacles. Instead of blaming others, look inward. What can you learn? What part of your shadow is at play? Dreams and daydreams are messages from the unconscious, guiding your journey. Jung urged us to pay attention to these inner signals. by noticing and reflecting on them. You engage in a dialogue with your deeper self. Individuation is the art of listening to your inner guidance, right in the midst of everyday life. Individuation becomes urgent in midlife, a turning point where we shift focus outwards to building a career and family. But once these goals are achieved, new questions emerge. A sense of unease can creep in, often referred to as a midlife crisis. Jung saw this as a spiritual summons, a call to turn inward. The question becomes, what does my soul ask of me? It requires letting go of who we thought we should be to become who we truly are. By heeding this call, the second half of life can be a time of profound creativity and personal fulfillment. Jung believed that engaging in creative activities is honestly one of the most direct and powerful ways to facilitate the process of individuation. Creativity provides a bridge between the conscious and the unconscious mind. When we paint, write, dance, or play music, we allow the images, feelings, and symbols from our inner world to take physical form. This act of creation is not about producing a masterpiece to be judged by others. Rather, it is about giving a voice to the parts of ourselves that cannot speak in ordinary language. It is a way of making the unconscious visible and therefore understandable. This process is what Jung called active imagination. It is a technique he developed during his own intense confrontation with the unconscious. Active imagination involves consciously engaging with the figures and fantasies that emerge from the psyche. You might start by focusing on a dream image or a persistent mood, and then allow it to develop into a story, a drawing, or a dialogue. You let the image speak and you speak back to it, all while maintaining a conscious, observant standpoint. This is not passive daydreaming. It is an active, intentional dialogue with the hidden depths of your own being, a way to build a relationship with your inner world. The products of this creative work can be incredibly revealing. A series of paintings might show a recurring symbol that represents a central conflict or an emerging potential in your life. Writing a story might allow you to explore a shadow aspect of your personality through a fictional character, safely and without judgment. The important thing is the process itself, not the final product's artistic merit. The goal is to create a space where the unconscious can express itself freely. In doing so, we learn its language and begin to understand its messages, which are guiding us towards wholeness and integration. This creative pathway is accessible to everyone, regardless of artistic talent or training. It can be as simple as keeping a journal, doodling in a notebook, or tending a garden. Any activity that allows for spontaneous, non-rational expression can serve this purpose. By regularly engaging in such practices, we create a sacred space for the self to communicate with the ego. We learn to trust the wisdom that comes through our hands, our bodies, and our imaginations. This creative dialogue becomes a vital lifeline to our inner world, nourishing the soul and actively advancing our personal journey of individuation. Our relationships with other people provide one of the most potent and, I suppose, challenging arenas for the work of individuation. They act as powerful mirrors, reflecting back to us the hidden and undeveloped parts of our own psyche. As we have seen, we often project our unconscious contents onto others, particularly onto those closest to us. We might project our unlived potential onto a partner, expecting them to be adventurous and spontaneous because we have repressed those qualities in ourselves. Or we might project our shadow onto a colleague, seeing them as lazy or incompetent to avoid facing our own insecurities in those areas. The journey of individuation asks us to take responsibility for these projections. When we find ourselves in a state of intense emotional reaction to someone, be it infatuation, rage, or idealization, it is often a sign that a projection is at play. The invitation is to withdraw that projection, to pull our energy back and ask, what is this person showing me about myself? This does not invalidate our feelings about the other person's behavior, but it adds a crucial layer of self-reflection. It transforms the relationship from a source of conflict into a rich opportunity for self-discovery and psychological growth. This work can profoundly transform our connections with others. As we integrate our shadow, we become less judgmental and more compassionate towards the faults of our loved ones. As we connect with our own inner anima or animus, we stop demanding that our partner be our other half and can relate to them as a whole person in their own right. our relationships become less about fulfilling unconscious needs and more about a conscious connection between two whole individuals. This leads to a much deeper and more authentic form of intimacy, one based on mutual respect and understanding rather than unconscious entanglement. Ultimately, a truly individuated person does not retreat from the world, but engages with it more fully and consciously. By doing the inner work of integrating the different parts of the psyche, we become more capable of forming healthy, mature relationships. We learn to hold the tension of our differences with others without losing our own center. We can love more deeply because we are no longer using others to complete ourselves. In this way, our relationships become a sacred practice, a constant dance of projection and withdrawal that continually polishes the mirror of the soul and helps us on our path to becoming whole. The journey of individuation is not easy. One of the greatest obstacles is simply the temptation to turn back. Confronting our shadow requires us to look at aspects of ourselves we have spent a lifetime avoiding. Another significant danger on the path is that of ego inflation, believing themselves to be special, enlightened, or superior to others. Furthermore, the process of individuation can be intensely isolating. The path requires you to differentiate from the crowd, to find your own unique way. The goal is not to become a flawless being, but a whole one. The true challenge is to embrace the paradoxes of our nature. This is the difficult, lifelong art of becoming fully human. Despite challenges, individuation yields discoveries. A durable sense of self-worth develops. As we integrate our shadow and connect with the self, we build an internal foundation for our identity. A newfound sense of purpose emerges. Listening to our dreams, we discern a larger pattern. This purpose is discovered, not invented. The journey increases creativity and vitality. Life becomes a creative adventure. A deeper capacity for compassion arises. Knowing our struggles, we understand others. Individuation leads to a profound connection to humanity. We have journeyed through Carl Jung's concept of individuation, asking, who am I? We traverse stages from the persona to confronting our shadow, glimpsing the self. This path is deeply human and relevant today. Bombarded by pressures and distractions, we're pulled from our inner lives. Individuation offers an antidote. Turn inward and rediscover your inner compass. Find value in who you are becoming, build resilience, and trust your unique perspective. Jung provides a modern language for this ancient quest, reminding us the most important adventure leads into our own depths. Carl Jung's ideas have enriched our understanding of ourselves. He championed the idea that the psyche is a mystery to be experienced, reminding us of our inner, symbolic world. The journey of individuation is a call for personal responsibility. The ultimate aim is to live a symbolic life. Their life gains a profound depth. Jung's vision offers us a profound sense of hope and an innate drive towards wholeness. The journey of individuation is the great adventure of a lifetime. If you found this content helpful, I would appreciate your support by liking this video, subscribing and sharing it with anyone whom you feel could benefit. Thank you for watching. Be and live in love and peace.